Alright, got my coffee and I'm ready to talk. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Driversside. Today is Friday, November 9th, and if you're kind of up to date on your automotive news, you'll know that McLaren announced that they'll be making a new model for 2020 called the Speedtail, and today they actually just launched for closed course testing the prototype, so that's pretty cool. So I figured for today's video I'd just kind of talk about the Speedtail a little bit and why it's going to be so important. So if you guys haven't seen the Speedtail, it is a really cool looking car. It's got a really unique teardrop sort of shape. So the car is a gas electric hybrid, and that's kind of all McLaren's saying about the engine as of right now. But it makes 1,035 horsepower, which is quite a bit, but not as much as some of the other competitors of it. The McLaren Speedtail is kind of unique in that it's kind of focusing primarily on aerodynamics and stuff to reach its top speed. So speaking of top speed, McLaren is saying that it can reach a 250 mile per hour top speed, which is pretty crazy, but I wouldn't put it past McLaren. I believe them when they say it can do that, because they've always been ahead of the curve on the supercars and hypercars. So the McLaren is, like I said, super aerodynamic. They've done some really unique things to make it as aerodynamic as possible, and more than anything we've seen so far in terms of cars. So the most prominent thing you're probably going to notice about the car's aerodynamics is it has front wheel covers. So that's kind of a interesting retro thing to have hubcaps back on your cars now, but that's a really interesting design. It does not spin with the wheel. It stays stagnant and kind of directs airflow that comes across the side of the car. Most of the body is made of carbon fiber, so it's really light. Another thing, if you look at it, it doesn't have side mirrors. It doesn't have wing mirrors on the sides, so that's really interesting. Instead, what they have is in the doors, they have retractable cameras that aim backwards, and then there's a display on the insides of the cabin that show you what's behind you. The Speedtail's also got a velocity mode, is what they're calling it, and that's going to retract those side cameras, and then it's going to drop the car 1.4 inches. So when you move to the back of the car, what you're going to see is two ailerons that actually pop up from the back panel of the car. Those are really cool because of what they're made out of. They're made out of a flexible carbon fiber, which is really interesting. McLaren's really gone all in on the materials on this car, and it's really cool to see what they're doing with it. So speaking of the materials, if you go into the cabin, you'll notice that there's all kinds of luxury materials on the inside. The dashboard is going to be void of any sort of buttons, really. It's got all touch screens behind the steering wheel. So that's really interesting to see. It's very futuristic. So another thing you're going to see on the interior is the carbon fiber trim they have. And they're really doing some unique things with carbon fiber in this car, because it's kind of a milled carbon fiber, so it looks, instead of the woven sort of look that you're used to in carbon fiber, it's kind of like a marbled look, which is really cool, really premium looking, and that's kind of what McLaren's aiming to do, is make a super fast premium road car. So that definitely fits the description. So when you first look at the inside of the Speedtail, you're going to notice that it's set up just like the McLaren F1. So you've got the driver's seat right in the middle of the cabin, slightly forward, and then two passenger seats slightly back on either side of the driver. So something else that's really cool about the interior of the Speedtail is the windows and also the top of the windshield are made of an electrochromatic glass. So what that does is it allows the people in the cabin to adjust it and set the amount of light they want to come through the windows. So that's pretty cool. I think maybe Teslas do that as well, but that's a really cool feature nonetheless. All right, we're back, more coffee. All right, here we go. So why is the Speedtail important? Well, I think it's important because, in my opinion, the Speedtail is McLaren's first real successor to the F1. Now, I am a huge fan of the F1. It's probably my top 5 favorite cars of all time. And really, none of the cars that they've made afterwards really kind of carried on that lineage, and I feel like the Speedtail really is going to do that. So like I said, they just released the prototype today for closed course testing. and that's pretty significant. Also supports my point because they named the prototype Albert, so that's important because the chassis they used when they originally started developing the F1, one of them was named Albert and the other one was named Edward, I think. So that's kind of an ode to the F1. Also, there's going to be 106 examples, just like the F1, and also the seating position. Obviously, this is the next McLaren that's seated the same as the F1, so nothing in between these two cars has had that same seat setup. So I think those are some points as to why it's kind of the actual successor to the F1. So that's my take on the Speedtail. I think it's going to be a once-in-a-generation sort of car. It's going to go down in history, I think, as being very, very ahead of its time. So all 106 examples have already been sold to people, and they're expected to be released in early 2020, so we can be excited for that. I hope you guys enjoyed my little spiel on the McLaren Speedtail. If you guys want me to do more videos like this, just go ahead and tell me down in the comments. Also, let me know what you think of the Speedtail, because I've seen some kind of differing views on the appearance of it, so it'd be really cool for me to see what you guys think about it. Also, go check out all the other cool videos I do on my channel. I have a BMW M3 that I am modding. We've also got my friend Brady's M3 that he's doing a Turbo LS swap in. We've got cafe racer videos, we've got car show coverage, we've got car features, we've got all kinds of cinematics, all kinds of cool stuff like that. So go check that out and subscribe if you like the content. Also leave me a thumbs up because that helps. But yeah, I think that's all I've got for you guys today on the Speedtail. I'll catch you guys in the next one, and as always, enjoy the road.